Hello, it's Monday, and it's noon. So we figured we'd come here a little bit early today. Why not? What else are we doing? Rob Morales, RC Network, Monday Market 15, the 15-minute show that takes about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more, but whatever. That's kind of who we are. Coming at you Monday, talking about the Phoenix housing market with my lovely and beautiful co-host, who just seems to be so perfect in the catching light of our studio here, Miss Ashley Milliere.
How are you?
She's back. Back every Monday, bringing you housing market updates about what we got going on here in Phoenix, Arizona. So if you like what you're seeing, go ahead and hit the like button on YouTube, because that helps us with the algorithm.
Subscribe.
And then hit that subscribe button. If you're watching us on Facebook, Twitch, or LinkedIn, go ahead and hit that heart button. If you like purple hearts, Ashley will like you even more. So leave those purple hearts there too. So hello, Ms. Miller. How are you?
Hi, good.
We're back here on a Monday going through stuff. I take it, coming with so much energy today. It seems like you're really mad. Why are you mad
Yeah, I'm
today?
coming in on fire. So
She's on fire.
Well, actually, I was really mad last night because I had my 3 boys at home, my brother, and I'm cooking dinner, and they're just being spicy as spicy can be. And I'm in the middle of dinner, and I'm just getting so frustrated that I literally grabbed my drink, grabbed my phone, and walked out the door, and I took an hour walk just to, namaste for a minute, right? So as I'm walking through my neighborhood, I'm noticing, especially after the rain out here in Arizona, grass is growing, or weeds, whatever you want to call them, is growing fast. So I'm looking at all these houses, and I'm like, doesn't look like anybody lives there. So I'm being the creeper, walking up. I'm like, oh, no cars.
You being a creeper?
Trash cans aren't out. And so I started taking pictures of the addresses and marking them in my notes. So went home later that evening, and everything had calmed down. The boys finished the dinner. They ate it. And, of course, when I walked in, they're like, Mom, that was so good. I'm like, you better lie to me because I know it wasn't that good. Anyway, so I started looking at these properties. I didn't dive too much into it. But this morning when I woke up, I was like, I want to know who owns these properties, right? So I started looking into it and noticed that they're all 3 properties are owned by one major investor. So then I started looking into that investor to see how many properties he owns. So then I went down this dark rabbit hole of angriness, realizing how many of these institutional investors actually own these properties, and these properties are just sitting there vacant. Yeah. They're not rented out, and isn't that the whole point for these large investors to come in and purchase these properties and keep them keep them, maintained so people can rent them or whatever the case may be. So then I started doing some more research, and that's when I started sending you some articles this morning.
I'll pull one of those up since you're talking about it.
Right. So one of them, I believe, was called Wall Street. Wall Street is buying up family homes. It says rent checks are too juicy to ignore. But then I thought, well, rent checks are too juicy to ignore, but these houses are vacant. So what are they doing with all these properties that they're buying up? I'm asking you. Do you know?
Oh, you're asking me?
I don't know. I want to know.
I don't. The motivation behind an investor. Typically, they're more of a long set, depending on what their financial portfolio is, kind of what their short-term, long-term gain or goals are. Long-term real estate typically is a long-term investment. You can leverage off of it because you can rent it out. But there's concern, with any kind of, especially with this market volatility. People are parking their money in these long-term investments. There's a concern about the economy, a concern about stocks, and concern about every other asset class there is out there. And historically, housing tends to be a very stable one.
It is, and I know 2 competitors. So
more stable than
Colony,
gold.
American Homes and Starwood Waypoint Homes were at one point like nemesis. They were competing against each other. Well, I think it was around 2017 they decided to come together and have created a freaking empire. And now they own, over, don't quote me, but it was somewhere between 60 and 80,000 residential rentals. They're becoming one of the largest corporations to own, or what is it called, property managers, suppose. But with that said, this is taking away. I mean, the stats I read were we used to have 70% of people who, what was it? I'm just trying to read my notes. 70% of people who own their own homes, now only 63% of people own their own homes. Yep. And the millennials, they're the ones currently right now who, whether they're wealthy or not, millennials meaning 1981 till, what's the date, 1996, which I don't even consider myself a millennial, even though I'm 82. I think there's different discussions. That's a whole nother topic, but
I think you're a millennial, kind of.
I guess I don't feel like, maybe because I've just been a mom for so long.
Yeah.
Like, how can I be a millennial when I have a 16-year-old driver? Just doesn't make sense to me.
I don't even know how you're a 16-year-old when you're like 22.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right. But now we've
It's got that youthful glow. Damn light. The light works for her more than it does for me.
You worked it for me. I just want to make sure I'm getting some of these right, but we're having so many issues with the millennials even purchasing homes, is what we've been talking about over and over. So I want to know, how do we get in and buy these properties? Like, as I was looking, I'm like, I would love to own a property in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
So maybe when the boys go off to college and they don't want to live with mom anymore, they can live in my rental, or, you know, my brother who's living with me, he can live in the rental. I don't know. But I feel like these homes are untouchable now that Wall Street's involved and these huge major investors, and these homes are just sitting there. They look disgusting. Their grass is as high as like the doorknob on the front door, makes our neighborhood look like crap. Like, this sucks. This is why I'm on fire. This is why I'm mad.
Oh, yes. Well, again, people are concerned about the way this market is going. You know, with the cost of goods going up, inflation. It's a hedge against that inflation. You know, putting your property or putting your money, your cash, because there's a lot of cash buyers out there, which is amazing to me. People putting down such large down payments, and where all that money came from. Could be government stimulus, could be the ease of credit, you know, being issued. I think banks are concerned about that. They're starting to pull back on those things. And so people want to park their money outside of a normal institution, and they want to be more secure about their long-term investments. They don't want to lose money. And again, housing is one of those safe kind of places to park your money, whether or not you rent it out or not. You know, the housing market tends to bounce back a lot quicker than a lot of these other markets, or it tends to be stable.
But how is, you know, our government, and how is it? I'm coming from a standpoint as a freaking American, but they're actually doing this in the UK, by the way, as well. UK is actually worse off than we are right now with their housing market. But it's like, how does somebody who is just a small, you know, average American get to purchase properties when they're holding on to all these?
Well, they can't.
I know.
And that's driving up the prices. So people get desperate, normal house buyers, and they push up the price, you know, and investors will, you know, position their money so that you're forced to make these larger offers. You know,
it's like, I feel like I want to be like that nasty neighbor that complains, like my nasty neighbor complained about.
You want to be a Karen.
You know who you are.
You want to be a Karen.
No, I'm gonna be a Heather. I think a Heather is the new Karen. I don't know. My kids are telling me about it, but. And just start reporting them constantly over and over and over and over again. One of them has plywood up on the window, for crying out loud. Yeah. And I'm like, at what point do we just attack them until eventually they'll just let go? I don't know. And then I'm pretty sure nobody walks around the neighborhood like I do and is looking for properties. Unless
you're in Morristown, if you want to go to Morristown.
Yes,
I hear Morristown is a really good investment right now.
It is a really good investment.
So somebody likes to focus it on that, but you know, as we're here, you know, there hasn't been a whole lot. I think the shift in July, because we talked about July and kind of that shift in the market. We're heading into, I believe, a more stable one. You know, inventory is going up. I can see that in the numbers.
Yeah.
I'll post a couple of those numbers.
Post it.
About 9 minutes in this. So we're gonna go from there to let's see, what do I have here? So we've been doing our scientific kind of count. So I do basically just draw a big circle around the Phoenix market and show the active listings on there. And we're roughly stabilizing around the 5,800. You know, about 6 weeks ago, we were about 3,200 homes active. And now we're about 58. And so are we kind of in a normal market cycle, which is where we grow inventory in July, and then the snowbirds start coming in around August to September, start buying up those last snowbird homes in October, and then it's kind of a dead market for November, December. It's potentially getting that way. It seems like it in the numbers a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know, because there was one year, it was like 2016, I want to say, if I recall correctly, that houses were flying off the shelves in November and December. I mean, it was crazy. So
in
I don't
2018?
know. I believe it was 2016.
Yeah, I mean, I don't go that far back.
I know, but I'm just thinking, like, as I go back and remember over the past years, and as we're watching it now, Corona really messed up our analytics, like trying to figure it all out. And But
Yeah.
you're right. I mean, usually it does taper off at the end of the year, but I have a feeling it's not going to.
Well, let's look at the stats.
Oh,
So
you and
is-
your stats.
Oh, I know. So looking at month supply in Phoenix area, we're running again week over week. We've been checking this number out. Started off in July about 0.6. We're at almost a whole full month of inventory. So that basically means if we list 0 homes today, we will run out in about 0.8 months. So in less than a month. This is basically what it's saying here. So that's in the Phoenix market. But you also see too that there's a lot of price reductions happening. You can see the aggravated amount just in the 400 to 600 range. Let me pull that up a little bit more too. We're starting to see price decreases. Again, with the increase in inventory, we're starting to see a little bit more price increases, especially in the $400,000 to $600,000.
Being a real
price
estate
point.
agent yourself, are you noticing that a lot of your clients are still thinking their homes are worth more than what they are because
Oh, absolutely.
of homes that are sold in the area, but that was months ago. I mean, we're talking on a weekly basis. Things are changing around here.
Well, the
how
thing-
are you doing? How are you having that conversation with me? Well, that was last week.
Well, and so all these websites, like the iBuyer websites, Zillow, Redfin, all that stuff, they post their gauge-o-meter, whatever their market, whatever it is. Some of them come fairly close. Some of them are just way off, and depending on
High
what,
and low way off.
like Zillow, for instance, once if they have a home in the area in the subdivision, their metering tends to be a little bit skewed to match the price that they're trying to sell at in the same market. So there is some price manipulation, unfortunately. So
Don't buy from Zillow. Buy from Robert.
Oh, yes. Hello.
Right.
Yes, if you're looking for a house, go ahead and type in the digits at the bottom of the comments section. We'll hook you up as best we can. If not, we'll just introduce you to Ashley because she likes meeting people.
I don't like people.
Oh.
Why do you think I hide behind the camera?
Oh shit. Okay. But anyway, so like you have a lot of these internet companies that are coming on that are aggravating and kind of exaggerating the price that the home is really worth. So I tend to have two conversations. I can't compete with some of these other cash investors that want to offer 40, 50,000 above the normal list price. So you have to compare your house to the houses in the area, and try to compare them as like as possible. And when you do that, you come up with certain number, certain range, and you try to push that or understand how the market's functioning at the time. And some people will say, my house is worth $500,000, and you're looking at the numbers and you're like, it's 460. I know Zillow and Redfin and all this stuff say closer to 500, but based on your specific situation, given upgrades, given what you have compared to what everybody else, you're running a little bit lower. Doesn't mean we can't sell it at that price. Doesn't mean you can't list it at that price. However, reality is set more at that number. So, for instance, if the comps are coming in at around 460, that seller wants to sell at 500. I will typically market it at 500, but I'll also be very frank and honest with them too, and I'll say, this is the numbers are saying 460. An appraiser may come in and say 460. If that is the case, that is a reality that we have to deal with at the time. And so we would want to look for a buyer at that point who has well over $50,000 to cover that offset, who's putting in $100,000 over asking price. It's those situations you want to look for to maximize what a seller has.
Right.
And
Well, I mean, this is not a new saying, but your home is only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it.
Correct.
At the end of the day. So with buyers thinking that they can put their home on the market and have somebody pick it up right away, it's not necessarily the truth currently right now. Was it a month ago? Absolutely. Yeah. So having that conversation with your client, or realtors having that conversation with their client saying, if you want, $250 for your home, you might have to sit on it longer now.
Yep.
Because what you read, in July versus August is completely different. Or you can take a little bit less and sell it to somebody who's willing to buy it. Because, again, your home is only worth what somebody's going to buy it for.
Yeah, and I just posted that townhouse, that you helped me with. We posted it on the high end, a little bit higher than what the comps were reading, and I knew that and did that intentionally, and we listed it at 210. Once we brought it down to 205, we got like 4 contracts. That is around the topper end, more of on the higher end of that comp range, and so just by lowering it that little bit, we got a contract already.
Are you sure it's not because I designed all your flyers and
It could have been.
I mean,
Those were
just
nice. I mean, those are. It's like, oh wow.
saying.
She has a very unique eye. So if you need help and assistance, if you're a real estate agent out there. If you're a real estate agent out there, please reach out to Ashley Miller, Great American Title, for your title and marketing needs. She is here, she's available, she's ready, and she's ready to go.
Thank you.
I try. Anyway, but going back to the stats a little bit here.
Do you think, in your personal opinion, that some of these institutional investors will start offing these homes in the future? I mean, because I think with the combination of the Colony American Homes and Starwood Waypoint Homes, there, like I said, I think there's somewhere around 63,000 in that range that they currently own, which is really only I think it's 0.1% of the homes. Do you think that they'll at any point they'll do that?
I don't know. I don't know what their motivation is or why they're parking their money there. They could be using their deductions, for tax reasons, loss of income from the rental property as, again, something to kind of lessen their tax burden. I don't know.
Do you think that the government should intervene? Okay, we won't get political.
Do I think the government? I mean, it depends on what side of the coin you're on.
Well,
I mean, I'm more free market. I mean, if somebody has more money than me, absolutely jump in and be competitive, and then that forces me to have to be better. But if I'm on the side of hey, I'm priced out, I work 40 hours a week, and I really want to buy a house, and I don't think this is fair, then sure.
Yeah.
But it's
and they really only own nationwide about 2% of our homes nationwide, right? So fine, fair. And then the others are owned by smaller investors and even families and LLCs and trusts and blah 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 blah. But can I tell a really scary story?
Oh boy.
Okay.
Hold on. Yes.
I am currently trying to find, I'm very passionate about, outside of title, being in real estate, I'm very passionate about design and designing. That's why I love to design things for Robert when he has an upcoming listing or something along those lines. So there was this home in Tempe that I was looking at, and it was just cute as a button, brick home. I'm like, I could go in there and I could take out this wall and I could do this and this. And I have this whole vision of it. I'm like, I just love this neighborhood. It's right by the elementary school. It's perfect for a cute little family. Then I was like, I'm going to go down the street and I'm going to scope everything else out with my camera. I'm like the creeper. And there was this house boarded up. And I was like, there's no way anybody lived there. There's not even a mailbox. So I pull up to the house and there's a screen over the window. I'm like, is that a shadow? Or the sun coming in?
Yeah.
I'm like, but it kind of looked like a body, like a figure of a body. I'm like, okay, Ashley, you're freaking yourself out, right? So roll down my window, start taking pictures, this angle, wide angle, zooming in, all of that. And all of a sudden the thing starts moving and acting making the same moves as me, acting like they're taking pictures. I have the goosebumps right now. It was so creepy. But I couldn't even get the address because it didn't have the address anywhere on the house. So I am going to go on Google Satellite and see if I can find the address and who owns it. But that just goes back to my point. There's so many of these dilapidated houses that are owned by these big investors that we've got to make it stop somehow. I mean, I know we're not bigger than Wall Street or the government, but we are freaking Americans.
Well, that's where voting power comes in.
I know.
We need to rally people together.
We do. I'm going to start a petition.
Petition to allow people to be creepers
I'm
and
going to start
take
a neighborhood
photos.
petition. I am going to be a Karen/Heather and start a petition not allowing people to buy in our neighborhood and leave them looking like poo. Or we should all just let our dogs poo in the yard.
I mean, you can always call the city ordinance because whatever. I mean, I don't know if you'll get that far. If there's any enforcement, if they can
well,
find.
They're going to have enough money to pay the fines anyway.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that's also another tax deduction too.
Right, exactly. They're always getting the tax deductions.
So yes, but looking at the stats one more time, we're going to be going on here. So looking at homes comparatively, inventory is increasing relatively in the 300 to 400K mark in Phoenix, Arizona, getting closer to that 2020 level as far as inventory goes. As far as active listings.
Right.
If you look a little bit more at the higher prices, kind of the price point that I'm shopping at, you start to see inventory higher than last year.
Right.
So again, indicators that this housing market is shifting as far as listings and number of listings. Still a seller's market.
Yeah.
Hands down, still a seller's market. I thought the whole thing would have crashed a couple months ago.
Do you? I know you probably don't have any stats on hand right now, but and I'm sure you'll be able to pull this up at some point, maybe next week. But I'm curious to see in the different cities. So we're going to have Phoenix, we have Tempe, Mesa, Chandler, Gilbert.
How do you know I don't have these lists already?
You might. Ahwatukee, South Mountain. I'm just thinking, do you have a list of where the average price in those different areas? So for people who are moving from other states, or perhaps like maybe they're thinking of Chandler, but like right across the street is Tempe, and you know the price changes. I'd be curious to see the borders of the different cities and what the average price range. I just gave you some homework, didn't I? The average price range in each city, because if you are a buyer and you're like, I really want to be in this school district because that's where my kids live, a lot of times the schools will actually allow the children, most of the time, they're grandfathered in if they already go there, or you can tell them, you know, your situation. The schools have been they're very kind. I don't live in the school district that my kids go in. But, and just maybe that might be a way for them to start thinking outside of the box instead of like, I have to live in Scottsdale, 85254. Well, if you go across the street, literally across Tatum to 85032, you're still going to get a nice big house. You're just not going to have the Scottsdale zip code. You'll have a Phoenix zip code, but you're still going to have, whether you're in Scottsdale or not, right in that area, you still have this city of Phoenix water. So does it really matter if you're in one zip code or one bordering when you can afford to just go across that one street? I would be interested to see the borders and not necessarily per zip code, but it's one of those things, or that I'm just.
So you want the price per zip code in comparison,
not completely per zip code. I'm thinking more or less per city, and so we can do some comparisons, because if you can, you know, what is the border, like Gilbert? On the border of Gilbert, now you have Mesa. Oh. Not everyone wants to live in Mesa, but if you literally live across the street from Gilbert, but you can get a house that's more affordable for you.
You know, I tried to do that with Violet. It was literally, okay, so there was a house on Power Road and Baseline. And Power Road, generally speaking, is the border between Mesa and Gilbert. You know, east of like a Baseline just south of there, east is Mesa. It seems like it's Gilbert.
Yeah.
You would get it confused for Gilbert, but it really is Mesa. And then west of Power is Gilbert. And I found one on the east side of Power and Baseline, and she looked at it. She's like, "Nope, it's Mesa."
See, that's like, what I'm saying.
Why?
And I don't understand that. Like, I left 85254, where I had spent, you know, most of my life in, to go over to 85032, a non-HOA neighborhood that's, you know, probably not the nicest from where I came from, but I could afford it, and I'm making it my home. I had to get outside of that thinking of, I want to live in Gilbert. Yeah. I want to live in a certain area.
Arcadia.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Arcadia is so weird, by the way. There's like Monarch Arcadia, Lower Arcadia,
Arcadia Grande, Arcadia Light. They all try to capitalize on that.
Everyone does. So that would be something fun to bring up next week. And I'm curious, and all of you guys watching, what would you guys like to know? I don't believe we only really have access to major stats in Arizona, right? You don't have access to them unless.
Nationwide, no. I typically pull from like Realtor.com or some of the major websites for information regarding other cities and stuff. Yeah. And then and plus I'm a YouTuber, so I kind of try to get information from everywhere.
I know. It is hard to get a little bit more granular in other states, especially since their systems, MLS systems, are different than ours. So.
Correct.
What would you guys like to know about? Put it in the comments. Right? Comments?
Put it in the comment section below. What would you like to know here at RCO Network? With Ashley Miller, Great American Title, she's asking you a very direct question. What would you like to know?
Yeah.
Anyway. So the last few stats here, we're possibly looking at a balanced market. And so the predictability of the market index. So if you follow stats, I'm going to go ahead and show that right now.
Do it.
So we're looking at different market areas and possible balances in the market. And potentially when that would happen. So based on the market index, the 4-week trajectory, we're looking at declines, which also means increases in supply. Projected, it's going to take about, let me get it here.
Projected days.
So Tollison, we're looking at anticipated market balance in 2.2 months based on current trajectories regarding supply. Again, that may change the snowbirds. You know, people like right now there was that whole hurricane in the East Coast. it might force people to come out to Arizona. When there's major tragedies in different parts of the country, it forces people to come to different areas. Especially if they lost their house. If they lost their house like on the East Coast, and they're like, hey, you know what? I'm tired of all this weather stuff. I'm gonna go out to sunny Arizona and melt away.
Melt away. No, speaking of melting, just coming back from Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
Cool city. There's no point in showering, or shower 10 times a day. It's so huge. People are saying it's dry heat in Arizona, which I get. It was hot, just as hot as Arizona, but with the humidity, I thought I was gonna die. I'm just walking down the street, and the homeless are everywhere, right? And I love homeless people, and people are like, oh, it's so dirty, homeless everywhere. I'm like, they're human.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going in CVS and getting them Gatorades because I already know I chugged 2, and they probably haven't had the opportunity to have one. But man, it was humid. But that is another market that is just exploding.
Yeah.
I mean, so
it's the price of houses out there too, right?
Yeah, but it's such a cool city with so many. It's
got water. It
does. I
got
kayaked.
Seasons.
I know, it's so fun.
I know. I saw the pictures.
Oh yeah, I did post pictures. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, it's my name, ASHLEE Miller, MILLERAZ. That's my Instagram. Yo.
I guess we can post that somewhere. But we're going back to the stats a little bit more before the end of the show. We got about 3 minutes, miss. We got places like Phoenix. Phoenix is coming down in about 4 months. So based on current trajectories, we should see a balanced market in December, January.
Yeah.
Same thing for Chandler.
What if we took this list right here and then you gave us the prices per this list? This is a great list because the difference between Sun City, Litchfield. Yeah, let's do that. Would you guys like to see that?
Maybe. Why are you giving me more work?
No, I could do
kidding.
it. I could log in and figure it out, but you're just so much better at it than me.
Oh, you just want me to do it. She's just being lazy, but that's fine. We're looking at different cities here, so potentially a balanced market, or at least an opportunity for buyers to kind of chime in and put their feet in the water that they've been wanting to put in. Putting an offer and actually getting it either accepted or at least negotiated. I want to get to a point where we're negotiating.
Yeah.
And we're slowly getting to that point, at least based on, again, current trajectories. These are all possibilities in 2021. So if you're looking in the Phoenix, Chandler area, those are definite cities that you would want to look at. Same thing for Tempe. I'm going to pull up this last one here too. These are more in the 2022. So we're looking at more of a balanced market in 2022 is Mesa, Paradise Valley in about 6 months away. Scottsdale 16 months away. Who knows when that's going to come back? That's where the money tends to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting to see. So we got Apache Junction. Apache Junction has come up so frequently lately.
I think it's for those outdoor seekers.
Yeah.
The people that want to kind of be connected to the city but still be connected to the wilderness. I mean, the Superstition Mountains are just minutes away from.
And they have Canyon Lake. I mean, they've got all those wonderful lakes out there.
Yeah, easy access to Payson. I mean, if you live in Mesa, you're only about 45 minutes from Payson. 50 minutes?
Oh, depends on who's driving.
Depends how fast you're driving. I heard that 2020 was like the worst traffic deaths in I don't know, in 20 years or something. Just because people are driving faster. Less cars on the road, people are driving faster.
I don't know. Perhaps. I did one time was driving out to Pima, Arizona, and we got stopped because a little Cooper, was trying to go around and hit a semi head on, and my boys and I literally watched this person burn to death in a car. They were just driving too fast.
Yeah.
I'm like, everyone was just in a hurry to get where?
It feels like Need for Speed in Phoenix.
Yeah,
at all
it's
times.
been so crazy. Like, so when you say 50, I mean, maybe an hour. But yeah, I think that you're right though, with less people on the road, people are getting out there and they're just like, we're just going to go up north and they're just cruising, windows down, music going, and got to take it down a notch.
Take it down a notch. And hopefully, Ashley, you're a little bit more calm, and you came in mad. You came in angry that so many investors out there are just wasting homes when they should go to good families, and that's possibly the case.
Right, absolutely. These beautiful single-family homes, and these families deserve it. They need it.
Yeah.
And believe me, this is not stopping. Like, I'm going to be up till 3 o'clock in the morning doing some research and calling the CEO of Starwood Waypoint Homes. I am.
Okay. I can't wait to hear about that conversation next week. So, is there anything else, Ms. Miller, before we end the show today?
Gosh, I don't think so. I think that I'm excited to see what the future holds for our market. Well, or at least till next week.
Yeah. Until next week. So this is Robin Morales signing off for RCO Network here at Studio 110 in Phoenix, Arizona with Miss Ashley Miller from Great American Title. Thank you, Miss. You're beautiful and very articulate as ever. I will catch you guys sometime next week.
See you.
See you guys.